Welcome to the Quinnisode, the cute and dorky cousin of the World of Horror podcast, where Quinn and I talk vintage and vintage-ish horror films in our Midwestern accents. Hi, Quinn. How's it going?
Hi, Christina. It's going okay. I've missed the Quinnisodes.
Me too.
I'm glad to be back.
We are so glad to have you back. And I'm, of course, speaking in the royal we.
Right.
How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was okay. Kind of celebrated with my family a couple of weeks ago, so didn't really do much on Thanksgiving, but it was nice kind of just to lay low. I actually ended up working. I've been really behind in work, and I need to redesign a class, and I got going on Thanksgiving morning and just kind of went for hours.
Mm-hmm.
The most work I've done in a really long time. And it's sad that it just happened to be on a holiday, but it doesn't really matter because it sure needed to get done. And I was, I guess, inspired.
Yeah, that's great. I love it when that happens.
Yeah, it just, sometimes it's like the timing is weird, like Thanksgiving, but I had to go with it. Like if you stop that sort of thing, you could find that you'll never get it back. So you got to go.
It's like cleaning the house or something like that. You are going to do this huge project and you're in the mood to do it. You got to do it because the mood will pass and you don't want to be in the middle of a huge cleaning project when that mood passes.
Yeah, you have to harness the motivation.
Yes, indeed. Oh, I have a Rosie visitor.
I have a Rosie visitor too.
Cue balls. We both have pets named Rosie. So my Rosie just entered the chat.
My Rosie just entered the chat too. I closed my Rosie's window, so she's got I kind of put her on, a break for work and stuff. So
yes.
She's chilling so she can gear up for the afternoon.
Well, Rosie was
Thanksgiving. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanksgiving was good. I went out of my comfort zone and I accepted an invitation to a friend's family Thanksgiving dinner. I knew her, but I didn't know the rest of her family. But they were lovely and I didn't need to be nervous at all. But I felt a little awkward, just socializing and making conversation with people I didn't know, but it went pretty well. And we had brisket and turkey. It was so good. And the host asked me at one point, she's like, "You like beef, right?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm a vegetarian." And I was joking, but she didn't realize that. And then I said, "No, I'm joking. I totally love it." But it was really good. And the visit was nice. And so that's how I spent it. And that was very nice and not my normal modus operandi. So
yeah, I am really proud of you for that.
Thanks.
It's a big deal.
It should be. It was a big deal. It was really great. And then yesterday I went and had lunch with family members in, over where they live. And that was very nice too. And it was just it was nice to get together with family for a brief, contained time. And there was a beginning, middle, and end. And then we all went our separate ways. And I really like that.
Yeah, that's really, I think that's great. Yeah, I had my family Thanksgiving 2 weeks ago, and we all just, at this point, the new thing is we all just, a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, meet up in Charleston and stay at my brother's house, and obviously the kids are there, and it's a lot of chaos and craziness, but also usually a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I feel like I need to dip out for 3 hours and then come back, and I get the idea of a small amount of time, then, I like that. But unfortunately, we don't get to see each other as often, and it's hardly ever that I see everyone with my parents as well. So that's a good thing. And those
Mm-hmm.
kids are so cute and they're growing up and they're getting weirder and weirder. And it's really fun.
Yeah, that is super fun. And your one nephew has my birthday, so he's obviously my favorite, even though we haven't met yet. But
I
yeah.
know it's weird. When I I always like send you pictures of him and then maybe not of the girls, but when I think of him, I think of you as well. It's funny. It's really a thing. I don't know. I think you do have a weird little shared something. So,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, I don't know. I'm like jealous of you both because you both are great.
We are, and it is a special connection that you can't really explain. And,
Yeah.
yeah, so I totally get it.
Yeah. You're higher up on my list right now because you've never given me a horrific stomach bug. But
I know is one thing about having little kids in the house is you're going to get sick. And unfortunately, your family all got sick this Thanksgiving season.
yeah. Yeah, it's like I think if anyone watched it unfold, it would be the definition of contagious. Like, I don't know. I mean, when you think of, hey, is that contagious? I wonder if it's contagious. And it's like, no one could have made it out of there alive, I don't think. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Well, I'm glad everybody's okay now.
Yes.
Jeez.
I hear my brother is still struggling, to be honest, but
Oh,
how
boy.
probable that he like caught some other weird strain of it again and passed it, but there's just not all the evidence of everyone in the world getting sick. So I don't
Yeah. Well, speaking of little kids, we should probably get into our film today.
know. Yes.
But I wanted to bring up a text. Hold on just one second while I grab it. Because I wanted to ask you about it. It says this is Friday at 9:34 a.m. Just finished Bunny Lake. Jesus Christ.
I think that's for me, actually.
It is it is from you. What was that all about?
um, well, okay. So when we initially, Bunny League was my suggestion. I don't actually know. Did I say that I had seen this movie a long, long time ago?
I think
And
so.
I it's possible that I did. I knew the general idea of it, but I did not remember it getting so fucking goddamn weird.
Uh-huh.
And it really gets really weird. And I mean, we'll get into it, of course, but I think that was just a reaction of like all of the wound opening weirdness that happens in like the last 30 minutes of the movie that it's like just like gasping of like, I don't understand. How did we get here? I thought I
Mm-hmm.
was on a different ride. Didn't realize
Yes.
this one goes upside down. I don't know. So, yeah, that was just the reaction of whoa, 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 pump the brakes. I don't know.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I let's introduce the movie. It is a 1965 psychological thriller mystery film, and it follows a woman who reports her young daughter as missing, despite the fact that there seems to be no evidence she ever existed, which is not grammatically great because who's the she referring to? I guess the young daughter. But um, anyway, uh, right. That's what it's about. Let me do the stats real quick. It's directed by Otto Preminger. The screenplay by John Mortimer and Penelope Mortimer, based on Bunny Lake is Missing by Miriam Modell. Stars Laurence Olivier, Carol Lynley, Keir Dalia, Martita Hunt, The Zombies, and Noel Coward. Cinematography by Dennis N. Coop. Oh my gosh, he was really working. on this film.
Yep.
Edited by Peter Thornton, music by Paul Glass, and it was released on the 3rd of October, 1965 in New York City and the 27th of February in 1966 in the United Kingdom. It has a running time of 107 minutes. I usually ask Mac, how did you feel about that runtime? How did you feel about that runtime, Quinn?
I venture a guess that Mac would say it was quite long.
Yes.
I might think it was a little long too.
Yeah. There are kind of like 3 major pieces to this film, and the beginning does go on for quite a while. The ending is a little quick, and the middle part's probably fine. But should we get into the plot, Quinn?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. Well, just to back up, so what's your history with this film? You said you think you've seen it before.
Yeah, I do think I saw it. I definitely saw it before. I don't know how it didn't stick harder with me. I think when trying to decide on what we would do for a Quinnisode, maybe like way back in the summer, this movie popped up and I was like, oh my gosh, that movie was so cool. I haven't seen it forever. I'm going to suggest this. So I think it's because I had a friend in college who was a huge Keir Dullea fan, and I think that's how I saw it. This was not a movie that I saw in my strange little horror film class, though. I definitely didn't see it there. I think it was just one of those like where we were trying to hit all of his movies over the course of a year, and they're all a little weird. I mean, like try to do that in a year, it's going to be a weird year, but that's my history with it. I like Otto Preminger a lot, though. I think, I mean, we can get into it a little bit later, but sometimes I think that he could be a director that tended to throw everything in the pot in some movies for me. But I do like him a lot. I think he makes really interesting choices, and I think he's like a kind of beautiful auteur. But I think I was more versed in his films when I was younger. I don't think I've gone back to them much. Beyond like Anatomy of a Murder is really, I think that's probably his most famous, but it's also very watchable.
Yes. Oh, indeed. Yes. I think we might have considered that one for Quinnisode, and maybe we'll do that at some point. And then I think I've also seen Laura, and
Yeah, Laura
not
is
sure.
very good.
Yeah. And so I guess this production was a little fraught, just looking at the trivia, in terms of casting and in terms of Preminger himself, who I guess had a reputation for being kind of a screaming meanie, screaming meanie. What's that expression?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Anyway, a person who yells and screams, and Laurence Olivier agreed to do this if he wouldn't be yelled at. So that's not great. I don't know. Adults who yell, I think we've had this conversation before. Adults who yell, there seems to be something amiss.
Yeah. I just don't really, I'm not here for it anymore at this age, or, you know, at any age in my adult life, realizing that adults who yell at adults it's just a really weird genre of folk. A lot of directors, though, you know, and one thing about Preminger is that I guess you can say that he didn't target men or women. He was sort of equal opportunity screaming
abuser. Yes.
abuser. And I do think I think that he had, I think some of his work shows that he did see women in a better light, like a more evolved light than like the 50s, what we were seeing in 50s and early 60s and whatnot too. I did also read that the film is based on a book. In the book, the ending is that someone at the school, a woman at the school, is responsible.
Okay.
I think it was in the trivia. Somebody just he said he didn't want a movie where women would naturally be on edge the entire movie and then have it be because of a woman. And I like that.
I like that
Choice.
too.
And
And
I think I don't know, his choices in the writing or a screenplay really send it into a weird zone that I'm more interested in, than the original book ending.
Yeah. I didn't know about that ending, but I was looking at the cinematography a lot, and this was my second viewing, and I don't know that much about cameras or anything from 1965, but I have to believe that this camera work is pretty extraordinary. So Preminger's kind of known for long shots. Or I looked up the difference between shot and take. But anyway, 21 seconds is the average, which at that time was considered to be pretty long.
Yeah. I think technically to be considered a long take, it has to be over a minute, technically. But 21 seconds is like as an average, because he also does some quick cuts too. So I like that he mixes, the shot differences. I think that really, really works. The cinematography, I think the cinematography is what tells the story in this one. And what tells you, because I think it's a crazy story. And I think it, because it feels claustrophobic. It's about a claustrophobic idea too. And oftentimes I felt like I was just like I didn't know how to focus any attention in any place. And like, I let the camera take me and sort of like move my head and move my eyes. And that was a really cool experience with this one, because I kind of got overwhelmed in the beginning of this one. I didn't know what to do, what to focus on. I didn't remember the specifics of the plot. So yeah, I really relied on that cinematography, and you can only do that when it's done so beautifully and so well and so interestingly. Like, I've never actually don't think I've had that experience of just sort of sitting back and thinking to myself, this is a lot. There's so much going on. I feel chaotic. How can I focus? And then I don't think I've ever like given up like that and then got sucked back in.
Yeah. So we start with Ann Lake. She has dropped her child off at the daycare, and when she goes to retrieve her, Bunny is nowhere to be found. And she brings in the cops are called in, and then she calls her brother, and he is brought into the chaos at the kindergarten. I can't remember the name of the place, Little Garden, something like that.
Little garden.
Yeah. This takes place in London. Anne has just recently moved to London from the States to live with her brother, and he is some kind of journalist.
Do we find out that it is her brother right away?
No.
Okay, so we are sort of like, I had the assumption that they were a couple.
Yes, I did too. Part of it is, just culture shock. He calls her darling at one point. And so it does seem like they are a couple, that they're married. But actually, she's a single mother, and that's her brother. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting too, because when she comes back to pick up Bunny, she no, when she drops Bunny off, she can't really find the classroom where she needs to drop her off. She said she had spoken to someone on the phone that said to like drop her off in the first day room or something. She ends up talking to the cook at the school, and that's the only person that she talks to. And they make this little agreement that the cook's going to take a look at Bunny and like keep an eye on her until a certain time, and then get her to the age 4 room or something. And that scene with the cook is like, I mean, I felt like that was an entire movie.
Yes.
I was like, what's junket? Like, I think I know this word, but it's not making sense in this context. And then I had to look it up, and I went down some other rabbit hole about the food junket that she is cooking. And like, the movie seemed like a weird advertisement for junket.
Yes, I had to look it up too, and I guess it's some kind of cheesy fruit melange. Doesn't sound great to me, but
no, because I mean, even later on when the inspector is there, he's like, "Is this junket? I wonder if they would mind if I." I always love junket, junket.
You're right. I hadn't noticed that, but you're absolutely right. So everybody go out and get some or make some junket today. So yes, she talks to the cook. The cook is a little weird. But yeah, it seems like she's released to go and talk to the movers and start getting herself moved into this new place.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it does set you up, because she doesn't even go back to the room to check on Bunny before she leaves. She just leaves. And it does set you up to be like, why didn't you go check it on her and say bye? Why didn't you say you were leaving? Mm-hmm. And then obviously plants the seed of doubt that is meant to be planted, and that what if Bunny doesn't exist later on?
Yes. But before we get there, we have to meet Noel Coward in the form of Horatio Wilson. OMG. What did you think of this character, Quinn?
Well, I was delighted to see that Chihuahuas in 1965 are just like Chihuahuas now, and they must be carried, and their lack of teeth somehow supports their tongue, but not enough to keep it inside their mouths, and this has always been the case. He has a dog called Samantha that he carries around. I was for sure, that was jarring, his whole character and what he was doing and what he seemed to be preoccupied with whenever he came on screen.
Yes. I think we can best describe him as a pervert. But he describes himself as having a melodious voice. He's done theater for the BBC, which he mentions a few times. And he's also, I guess, a world traveler. He has been to Africa, and he has these African masks hanging all over the apartment. One of them, he says, is supposed to be good for fertility. And she says, "Oh, that's not my problem." There's some funny lines in this film for sure.
Yeah. But what struck me then too, and I think this is cool because it's like the beginning of setting up the contrast between the Lakes and the Brits. And that is like, they don't get along. Like, she is immediately like, I've got to go. I've got stuff to do. You're bothering me. And I think that's a strange choice. Even if your landlord kind of shows up while you're moving in and he is a really huge weirdo, and it's very clear that he is, I still feel like I would be way more polite than she was. And then I think from then on out, it's like every interaction with her or with the brother is like, just it's conflict. Like, nobody is, I don't know, assuming the best of anybody. Nobody, like, polite is gone. There's no, I don't know. It's just, and I think we're supposed to feel that way, that like every interaction like that, they are different than this world, or,
Mm-hmm.
they are, but
They are. Oh boy, are they.
yeah. Oh boy.
They do meet a interesting, eccentric old lady in the top part of the house, and apparently she was a co-founder of the Little People's Garden kindergarten, and she she is listening to recordings of children describing their nightmares. Okay, so I'm not sure if she and the guy from Peeping Tom have any shared DNA, but quite an odd lady.
Yeah, really odd. Really, really weird. That could have been its own movie too, I think.
I know, I agree.
And I guess we're just supposed to be presented with these suspicious suspects.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they are as weird at the time as they are to us now, but I find them to be very strange.
Yes.
And I can't believe there are two of them in one movie.
I know. Yeah. Uh, so, yeah, so we meet her, and she said, oh, yes, children have gone missing from this school before. It happens, um, very casually. Everyone's pretty casual, about it. Nobody seems alarmed except Anne herself. The brother a little bit, but he's more trying to take care of her and kind of reassuring her that everything's going to be okay. He's going to take care of it. Cops don't know what they're doing, that kind of thing. But Anne is starting to fray a little bit, as you would imagine a mother would.
Yeah. And I think that Stephen is the brother. The way he speaks to the women at the school is just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
That, when you compare it to how he's speaking to the police and the inspector initially, is such a stark contrast.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very, I think, classist, statement, statement about class. Definitely. I've noticed that too. The way he's just so dismissive and just telling these women, they don't know what they're doing. They're terrible at their job. And they're reckless, irresponsible, and all this stuff. And yeah, he's pretty differential in the beginning to the inspector, played by Laurence Olivier, but that also changes.
Yeah, definitely. I just found it, especially the Mrs. Smollett character, the stuff he's saying to her. In the way he's saying it is just it's so off-putting, and it seems so out of place thus far in the story.
Yes. I think the next major thing that happens is we discover that all of Bunny's accoutrements have been are not evident in the residence. And we saw earlier Anne place a little cup and a toothbrush in the bathroom. So we know that Anne did unpack some of Bunny's things. They cannot be found at all. And also, we learned that when Anne was a little girl, she had an imaginary friend named Bunny.
Yes, which is also suspicious.
Yes. The
And
plot thickens.
Yeah. And it's that kind of, I think, is what starts to plant the seed of doubt in the inspector's brain that maybe Bunny doesn't exist. But yeah. And so a good plot point, but also it seems like this part of the movie, I do think it was a little drawn out, because it just felt like they were trying to, at least Anne, and some of what Stephen was doing too, just trying to use any piece of evidence that they could find to suggest that she exists. And some of those pieces of evidence would never serve as any sort of evidence.
Right.
The doll, which I loved that, the whole doll thing, and we can get into that. But, just, I don't know, the idea that they got off the boat and Bunny had a cold. So Anne kept her home for days. So nobody saw them except for everyone on the bus. You could ask anyone on the bus, and then this leads the inspector to go on, different sort of like little mini adventures to attempt to prove or disprove that she exists or doesn't, whatever. But it all seemed, I don't know. I think in the middle of the movie, I just was like, there's all this weird stuff that she's attempting to present in order to prove she exists, but none of it really even makes sense and none of it would prove she exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. One of those things is that Stephen wrote a check to the school. And it's one of those old timey checks where you tear off the check, but you have the receipt still in the book. And so he has the receipt, but that doesn't prove anything. He could have written the check and torn it up, and he has the receipt in his
Because
book,
the
but that
school
doesn't.
doesn't have the check,
School
right?
has nothing. They don't have any record at all that they registered this child. Yeah, I thought the bus was pretty good, and then the inspector says something really funny. He's like, "Well, we can't really trace all the passengers on the bus, and bus drivers are," and he lists like a bunch of things that they are. The first thing he says is poets. They're oftentimes poets.
Aww.
And I think he says maybe ne'er-do-well, but I mean, I'm like, what? Why this characterization of these bus drivers? But anyway, yeah, I wish I could find that quote. It was so funny to me. But eventually, I guess Stephen goes to work, I think. And then Newhouse takes Anne to a bar. And because she's not eating, because she tried and she threw up, and that makes sense. And so he's like, but you have to eat. So he takes her to a bar and plies her with liquor and gets her a sandwich. And at this point, he doesn't believe that Bunny exists.
Yeah, and I think he's concerned for Anne, of course, and her well-being, and probably attempting to just keep her safe and keep an eye on her for sure at this point.
Yes. We see the zombies are listed in the credits, in the opening credits, and we see on the television that a show that's featuring the zombies. They're not playing She's Not There, but I do like the song that sort of repeats throughout the rest of the film. It's something like, I'm right on the verge of seeing you, or something like that. Just out of reach.
Just out of reach, yeah.
Just out of reach, yeah.
I loved that theme throughout. And also they interrupt this news report, Anne's like, you don't believe that Bunny exists. You're not even trying to get the word out. And he's like, we are. And right then this news report comes on the bar TV, and it's like, still looking for a missing girl. And then when the anchor starts to list the description, it's like somebody quickly switches the channel, and that's when the zombies come on.
Yes. Should we move to the doll section of the film?
Yeah, better, because that's enough. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So earlier, Anne had thought that part of the proof that Bunny exists is that she bought her this house that has candy inside of it. I don't. Okay.
Yes, like she keeps bringing that up, that she bought. I thought it was like animal crackers or something like that. But it's like, that's not proof that Bunny exists, hon.
No, not at all. But now she finds the receipt for this doll hospital because Bunny had a doll that needed to be repaired. And so that surely will prove that Bunny exists. This is the last, like they've gone through the bus, we've gone through the boat records. This is the one that is going to seal it.
Yeah, this is somehow going to save the day. And it's weird because, like, even if any of these things were to be there or make sense, like, they wouldn't have helped her bring Bunny back in any way. It's just like a matter of like getting to a point where somebody believes that there really is a crime that's been committed or that there is something going on. But yeah, the doll hospital is, it's when you think that there can't be another weird character because there can't be that many, then the doll hospital happens.
Yes. Right. So Anne goes by herself. She finds the doll hospital and oh my gosh. I mean, this is a nightmare for me. This is a waking nightmare to go through this shop. But she finds she finds that it's open and she goes inside and finds the proprietor upstairs. And they have a little convo. And then she goes to find the doll in the basement.
Yeah, he's like, well, there's so much going on. My assistant's not here. You're going to have to find the doll yourself. She needs to go down like several flights of stairs.
Yes.
To this basement, which I loved. This whole doll sequence, like where you are in your nightmare, I'm in like this weird heaven where I'm also not super comfortable, but like I'm really interested.
Yeah.
And also in my notes for this movie, I have the doll surgeon is very, very busy. Like he has so many patients.
I know.
Like, I get that this is London and it's a huge city, but I still I don't believe that these things exist, number one. And number two, like, I can't believe how much work he's got.
Yes. And he's not even, I mean, he's taken sort of a walk-in, that he's working on when she comes in because like the little girl down the lane, had a doll that needed some surgery anyway.
Yeah.
So she takes this lantern into the basement and she's like scanning all the freaky doll faces and she finds the doll. And so she thinks she's like finally succeeded. So she goes to pay the man. And now Stephen has come into the doll hospital. And so he does the only thing you would think to do. He pours kerosene all over the doll and lights it on fire.
And then hits Anne over the head, right?
Knocks her out.
Hospital comes, picks her up.
And he tells them that she's been under a lot of stress and she's been talking about this imaginary daughter.
Yeah.
So she's knocked out. She's put into a bed. This goes on for a while.
Oh, it does. It goes on for a very long time. She wakes up and she already, like, she understands what's happened when she wakes up, apparently. Like, it takes no time to understand or figure out a plan. And she slinks out of the bed in that scene.
I love it.
I was like, because right after this, the hits keep coming in terms of the weird. So, and we've experienced a lot of weird thus far. But that slinking out of the bed, I don't think I'll ever forget that scene.
That's the only way I want to get out of bed anymore. That was amazing.
That's amazing.
The body work. Oh my God. Incredible.
Your head like popping up like.
Well, but you're right. I mean, I can't believe that she just sort of wakes up and she's like, oh, I'm in a hospital. I see. I need to go get my things and escape. Like, anyway. She doesn't question it at all. So that made me think, has this happened before?
Oh, that's interesting. That's a nice thought. That makes sense. I mean, and I honestly, once you get to the end too, I feel like this had to have happened like several times in order for this to go off in the way that it did.
Yes. Well, I mean, this section is really long, but she makes her way through the hospital with her belongings. This section goes on for too long. But she finally escapes, which is incredible.
I think while she's escaping, we have sort of that parallel editing shot of Steven opening the trunk of his car.
Yes. I gasped.
Yeah, me too. Because it's been so long. I wasn't sure anymore that I didn't remember the plot. So like I think I knew that Steven had done something, but like I didn't know that she was alive. I didn't know that she existed or was real, because he really does quite a good job with putting you in such a weird, chaotic, mysterious world where you do start to buy a lot of what is being, thrown at you in terms of the evidence that she's not real. Um,
Yes.
so when Anne is leaving the hospital, which also looks like an apartment or a house, just like the school does, which I find just fascinating. But when she's leaving, yeah, we have this sort of parallel editing shot where we see Steven taking Bunny out of the trunk of his car, and he sort of slowly walks into this house, which is where he and Anne were staying before their apartment became available. Someone that he works with, it's their old place, and puts her on, I guess, a table, and you do start to see her move a little bit and like kind of waking up. So she's real and she's alive.
Yes. I know. When he first opens the trunk, her eyes are closed, and I thought she was dead.
Yes, me too.
But she's not. She's alive. She was just sedated all day and most of this night. And she's just sort of coming around. She also has no questions. She just, silently wakes up.
Yeah, she knows. The rest of the movie, she's in it, and she's not acting like any of this is weird.
Right. Exactly.
It's
But she doesn't say like, "Hi, Uncle Steven," like nothing like that. I mean, but anyway,
yeah,
that might be a writing issue, but I mean, whatever. He's preoccupied because he's been burning all of her things. And we also see that he's dug a grave. And so he is up to no good.
yes. So then we get that. I loved the scene where you see Anne finding him, and kind of following him in the house. You can see her in the windows.
Yes.
And I liked that scene. And then I think she breaks a window to get in.
Maybe she had gotten in at one point, and she opened a window to sort of give herself a way back in. But he's like locking every door that he goes through. So maybe she does break a window.
Yeah. And so I was like real interested to see how this was going to go down. And how it goes down is that she kind of like reverts to their relationship when they were young and is calling him Stevie. And there's this whole change in personality that happens where he's very childlike, and she's attempting to feed into that. And I think now, like looking back, it's got to be because she's done this several times where she's had to reach him through this childlike state, to get his attention and pull him out of it in some way. But I never feel I feel like she could have incapacitated him a million ways.
Yeah.
Like, but instead we have that ending where we're just like watching the three of them sort of play, and they're all doing things for different reasons. She's trying to protect Bunny. Bunny is a kid, so Bunny probably legit thinks that they're playing, and Steven is trying to kill Bunny.
Yes.
To get her out of their relationship, because we come to find out that they had a relationship when they were younger, and I guess still do. And what got in the way was this guy that Anne was dating, who we learn earlier, and this is kind of a big deal in the story, I guess, because of the time, that Anne had gone on several dates with this guy, and she got pregnant, and Stephen wanted her to have an abortion because she didn't love the guy. And she said she wasn't going to do that. And he asked her to marry him, sorry. And Stephen said, you can't do two wrongs won't make a right. So you can't marry this guy I guess, and you should get an abortion, but she said no.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I guess it's just assumed that since Bunny was born, she's been this like actual physical barrier.
Yes.
Represents this relationship that wasn't with him.
Right. And we also learned that when they were children and Anne grew out of her relationship with her imaginary friend, they, quote, killed her and she went to heaven. And so now he wants to do the same thing with this bunny to get her out of the way.
Yeah. So the ending again is like them involved in various games that they played. And it's scary because at this point, you know how crazy Stephen is.
Yes.
And how what he, the relationship means to him and how important it is to him and what he would do to get that back. And so it's really horrifying. And like they're singing these kids songs and skipping. And I mean, I was just counting the ways in which Anne could have like smashed him over the head with something or like pushed him down and hit. I don't know. I feel like that got dragged on too long in terms of if she was really trying to protect that little girl at any cost,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she would have done some violence.
Yeah, Bunny's on her own, and I didn't know if, I assumed that Anne didn't want to kill Bunny herself, along with Stephen, but I mean, it is really crazy. And the camera work in this section of the film is really amazing. Like it's following Steven as he's like bouncing on this trampoline. It's following them. It's like really close in to Anne's face when she's on the swing set. And I mean, it's just really incredible stuff.
Yeah, then they play this like playing blind game
Right.
where she's blindfolded at first and tries to find them, and then he's blindfolded after that. And I that's when I was like, Anne, do something to him. Like you could end this. And for a minute too, then I started to think that she was also interested in getting rid of Bunny
Right.
in some way. Maybe not with his passion, it's like up to like not that much, but something was like, I do want this back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard to know what her motivations are in that last section because she's just sort of going along with this like crazy gameplay that they're doing. And it's really uncomfortable the way they talk to each other in this childlike way. And but the swing set is seen as pretty scary to me. Like I thought she was going to fall or, I thought something was going to happen because she keeps saying, I want to reach the sky. And he's like pushing her really high. And it seems chaotic and it seems like she's in danger.
Yeah, and she also there's those close-ups of her head when she's swinging up, and like sometimes she looks like she's so excited and in pure bliss, and other times it's terror. It's very strange.
Yes.
The trampoline scene for me too is what really sort of piqued my anxiety hardcore, just because he was screaming as he jumped.
Yes.
Yeah, and the swing scene too. I remember when I was a kid, um the playground at my school really wasn't much of a playground. I mean, it was like a swing set, really. And at lunch, we would swing and we would like chant over the bar, send her over the bar, and like
Ah,
push as hard as they could to send, somebody swing over the bar, which never happened, but like always felt in a moment that it could at any
right.
moment. And I still believe that it can at any moment. So that's, even though I never have seen it, but like the momentum that goes into that sort of into swinging, like you
Yes.
get into an intensity that's like, I don't know. I'm watching that and I did believe that she was going to fly off or fling over or something in any moment.
But fortunately, the cops have figured it out. They found what boat they were all on. And so they descend upon the house. Like how they knew to go to that house, I'm not sure. But they all descend and they, handcuff Stephen. And so Anne and Bunny are safe. And the inspector says something so rude. He's like, it's nice to see you, like, now that you exist, or something like that to Bunny. What a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. And, after that really intense scene and those scenes at the, like, outside of the playground, for them to show up and just like take Steven, it's so anticlimactic.
Yes.
Like, it is so, oh, okay. So this is
Yeah.
how, this is how he gets caught. Okay.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, really crazy. So, yeah, I was talking to a colleague and she knew that Bunny was alive. She watched this and she said she knew that the twist was, or the thing was that Bunny was alive. I didn't think so. I have become convinced that Bunny was made up.
Yeah,
So,
I had to. I wasn't sure either way, and I couldn't remember it really. And I didn't go looking before. I did no pre-research.
mhm,
And I think that I did believe that I could have believed anything.
right.
And I don't know. There's some things there. I have some issues with the movie, but honestly, when you set up your movie and you could go any direction, that's pretty successful.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, in terms of a mystery, I think it's pretty good. It's hard. There are a lot of suspects, and everyone is pretty crazy. And you could believe that she was just a figment of Anne's imagination
Yeah.
at a lot of different points. But yeah, this last part of the film is wackadoo.
It's so crazy. And it's like, yeah, it just seems like you just I, once Stephen lights the doll on fire, you just like you kind of think you know how it's going to play out, but it doesn't play out anywhere near that because you never could have imagined the crazy batshit nut stuff that's about to unfold.
Yes, totally.
Ugh.
So I found some trivia. A lot of it was about Keir Dalia. So I was wondering if you could sort of find, I know there's a lot, but there's, so we already said that, this production was a little fraught. Preminger is sort of a diva, I guess. It's hard to work with. Laurence Olivier, wasn't sure he wanted to do this film. So apparently Noel Coward didn't have any respect for Keir Dalia, and at one point he whispered in his ear, "Keir Dalia gone tomorrow."
Whoa. Oh,
I love it. It's been going through my head ever since I read that.
Delia gone tomorrow. Beautiful. Just beautiful.
It is. It's really good.
What do you think of him? Do you love him? Do you hate him?
I think his line delivery is really weird. I mean, I think he's fine, but I think whenever I notice the lines and like I would have said that differently, I think there's a problem because it doesn't seem that natural to me. But he's fine. He's okay, and he does crazy really well. I think
does really well. Yeah,
it's just generic crazy too, which we should say, which is pretty offensive. But he's just quote unquote crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first one talks about Keir Dalia. Do you want to read that one?
Yeah. It was Keir Dalia's performance in this movie that led to Stanley Kubrick choosing him to play his most famous role of Dave Bowman in 2001, A Space Odyssey. He didn't even have to audition. Kubrick simply asked him if he wanted the role, and he said yes. That poor man is like a masochist.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oof.
Going from Preminger to Kubrick. Gosh.
Yeah.
Sucker for punishment. I thought it was also kind of interesting. It says at one point, Otto Preminger considered making the police superintendent a younger man and had Robert Shaw in mind for the role. Laurence Olivier, who played the part, disliked Preminger intensely and sometimes said that his wife, Joan Plowright, kept him in order by threatening to invite Preminger to stay with him as a house guest.
Oh, I love Laurence and Joan so much.
I do too.
It makes me happy. That's so cute. I loved him in this, although he wasn't a standout. I don't know that it was just comforting to see him amidst a cast of weirdos. Like, I just felt like he was the only stability. And I didn't even feel like he was that stable anyways, but
right.
He was good in this.
Yeah, he was.
It wasn't like Laurence Olivier greatness, but it was good.
So this says that junket is a traditional nursery food from Britain. It consists of milk curds cooked with fruit and is served warm as a mid-morning or bedtime snack. Similar dishes include curds and whey, posset, and steamed bread with milk. So kind of like cottage cheese and fruit.
Yeah.
But warm.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah. Side note, when I moved to the South, it is very known for bread pudding.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom used to make bread pudding when I was younger. Do you know what the bread pudding was?
No.
It was a piece of wheat bread in a bowl with milk poured over it and a couple of chocolate chips in the microwave.
Wow. You have revealed Mom's secret formula.
I have. And so once when I first moved here, like soon after, I was out to dinner and someone was like, I'm going to get the bread pudding for dessert. It's so good. And I was like, oh, why would you pay for that?
Yeah.
But it was obviously a whole different show.
Wow.
Mother's bread pudding. Don't tell Mother.
I won't tell Mother. I wanted to find the trivia that talks about abortion.
Oh.
It's really long. The United States Production Code, which was only very slowly being eroded during the period when this movie was being made, stipulated that the subject of abortion shall be discouraged, shall never be more than suggested, and when referred to shall be condemned. It must never be treated lightly or made the subject of comedy. Abortion shall never be shown explicitly or by inference, and a story must not indicate that an abortion has been performed. The word abortion should not be used. Anne Lake speaks quite forthrightly and neutrally with Superintendent Newhouse about the fact that she had considered having an abortion, though she did ultimately choose to give birth to her daughter, Bunny. So, wow. That is pretty good.
Oh, I love that production code. Yeah. So this would have been like right at the end. Yeah. I didn't even bat an eye, but then also when just talking about it here, I thought, whoa, it is weird that she casually talks about it. And she puts more emphasis on the fact that Bunny is, quote, illegitimate than anything else. In fact, in one scene, she says, I hope that you, to the inspector, I hope you don't take this less seriously because Bunny's not legitimate. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, we wouldn't. So that seems to matter more to her than the thought of an abortion or the consideration of an abortion, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
She seems there's also talk about he then shifts to calling her Miss Lake instead of Mrs. Lake, and she says sometimes she does go by Mrs. Lake, except when it's like really important to be really clear that she's a single mom. Yeah, it must have been pretty difficult in 1965 to be unmarried and have a child.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, any other final thoughts or reactions to this film? Bunny
Let
Lake is missing.
me look at my notes. One note says Steven is nuts. Um, one thing to point out that I actually was very interested in and that took me out of the movie and also kept making me think about and figure out how it worked and fits in is the opening sequence, which I loved so much. And I read that that's Saul Bass. And obviously, he's really famous for a lot of Hitchcock sequences, including Psycho, um, which it seems like Preminger was interested in what Hitchcock did with Psycho with this one, because somewhere in the trivia, it's noted that he did a similar sort of marketing tactic at theaters where he wouldn't allow people to enter
Mm-hmm.
past a certain time. But yeah, I really, really loved the opening sequence of like the large hand ripping to reveal the roles and like the cast and everything. But it also felt a lot like it felt like it felt like something that was created like as a note that you would send somebody if you took a ransom note, where it would be like
Oh.
pieces were cut out of a magazine to create a word so that your handwriting wouldn't be detected and things like that. And it just also, so I didn't understand how it fit necessarily, but then, which it doesn't matter because I thought it was really cool. I loved it. And I was like, oh, buckle up, you know. Um, So I don't know. I liked it a lot. I didn't feel like it fit totally, but it did fit in like placing you in a weird world where like this larger than life hand kind of comes out of nowhere and manipulates something that you can't control. And I think that felt like the first part of this movie for me. Like I had to always try to find my bearings and what was going on because there's always a lot of chaos happening. I mean, I think that would just be if you were shooting a scene that was set in like a children's daycare, like of course, but also there the camera moves in such a way that it's like taking you into places that you don't know, that are not familiar because you've never seen them, but it feels so unfamiliar and it feels like you're with the character as this sort of mystery and madness and chaos is unfolding. And I think it fits with the big hand, ripping the paper too in some way. I really
Mm-hmm.
liked it though. I loved that the opening credits so much.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And then at the end, there's like a little person that's sort of ripped out.
Yeah, and then
So,
put back.
yeah, and then put back at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
You
like that too.
remember when we did The Innocents?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the opening of The Innocents was like a hand and a candle, in some way, but it was like this big giant hand. And I think, and I could be totally wrong, but something about the opening of this reminded me of that. And I had that movie sort of in the back of my head when I was watching this. And I do think that this movie is successful in a similar way. Like we've talked about, the idea that it's sort of, it could go in any direction. There's enough evidence to support any sort of outcome. And I think that was the case in The Innocents too, where, you know, Deborah Kerr's character is either crazy or there are ghosts. And you could, any day you watch it, maybe walk away thinking she really never saw those kids or those ghosts, you know, or they were real and they were haunting the manor. And I like that. Whereas in this, there's a more, you know, an understandable outcome that we like can all agree on. But getting there, I think he planted that seed pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. So a successful Quinnisode in the books. Bunny Lake is Missing. I think we recommend this film. It's weird, for sure, but it's very fun.
It's really fun.
So thank you, Quinn, for having this conversation with me today about Bunny Lake is Missing.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Hooray!